Continuing with our series on kitchen robots, today is the final session on kitchen robots, and I'll first go through what we have done so far in the last three sessions on kitchen robots, and then move on to the segmentation pipeline using Mask RCNN that we decided to discuss in detail from last meetup. So basically, the agenda for today is similar like we do usually. So in my introductory presentation, I'll go through the review of all the previous kitchen robot sessions that we did very briefly, so that everyone has an idea of what we are doing here. And then after that, we'll discuss the segmentation pipeline, and also, depending on the time, some discussion about Mask RCNN. And then also we plan to discuss the mashing system, which would be a mechanical system, but this is also a lot of people were really interested in, so we'll also try to briefly cover this. So again, this Mask RCNN discussion and mashing system, this depends solely on how much time we have left, and we'll focus more on coming up with a segmentation pipeline and trying to understand it. And then we'll decide the theme for next month and the topics we want to discuss for the coming meetup sessions. And after that, we'll have introductions and casual networking. So we are basically an active learning group of robotics and artificial intelligence enthusiasts, and the way we learn is that we conduct these meetups and research paper reading sessions where anyone and everyone can volunteer to share a project, a topic, an idea, anything related to robotics and artificial intelligence, and everyone can participate regardless of age or experience. The meetups are recorded and shared on YouTube since the timings are not suitable for everyone. So just to let you know that if you have concerns with that, just let me know. I'll cut out your introduction portion or any other portion that in which you are involved, and that should not be a problem. Okay, let's start now. So starting with meetup number 15. So before meetup number 15, the meetup number 14 actually was just a casual discussion of everything that is available in kitchen robotics sector, the companies and the work the companies are doing, the different kinds of projects are there. We just had a very casual discussion, and we came up with a conclusion that okay, we want to prepare a system, a robotic system that would assemble and prepare a sandwich from scratch fully autonomously. So this is where meetup number 15 comes in. And we started with just trying to understand at a very vague level how the humans prepare a sandwich. So washing vegetables, preparing the stuffing for the sandwich, and assembly of the sandwich. This is what we decided, and the goal, as per our mutual consensus, was to arrive at an efficient system, a system that prepares the whole sandwich such that it takes as less effort and time as possible. And this is what we focused in meetup number 15, and this is the system that we have been using since meetup number 15. So we have one 6 degree of freedom robotic arm, a multi-gripper system. So this is basically the gripper. This is basically a system which has multiple grippers, and they can be rotated, and such that when the whole multi-gripper system is mounted on the end effector of the robotic arm, then we can select each of the grippers in the multi-gripper system. So this is what we decided, and we also have multiple 3D cameras. This is how our arrangement looks like, our kitchen arrangement. So we have a chopping area where vegetables would be chopped. We have an assembly area for the sandwich assembly. We have a stove for cooking of the stuffing and vegetables. We have a storage area. We have a storage for spices and sauces. Okay, so this is about the hardware system. And then we also decided that a 3D camera that is mounted overhead would be essential, so that the system knows where everything is, where is the chopping area, where is the storage area, where are the sauces. And we also need a 3D camera on gripper, so that it is easier for the robotic arm to identify objects, and also if we are using depth sensors, then it would be more accurate. And we made a few assumptions. We made an assumption that the stored vegetables are already clean and peeled, so we are not taking into account the washing process. We want to focus on the main sandwich preparation process, and we are assuming that any other activities that are kind of not essential, we are assuming that they are already done. So we are already assuming that the potatoes, the onions, the tomatoes, not the tomatoes, but the potatoes, onions, and potatoes and onions are already peeled, and all the vegetables are clean. And the cooker and frying pan, we are also assuming that they are placed here. So this is kind of a semi-structured environment that we are considering. And we do not want to focus on the cooking process. We want to focus on an entire overall pipeline that does its task efficiently. So we are also assuming that the induction stove has automated temperature control system, and that just means that when the cooking is done, it gives a signal to the robotic arm that okay, this operation is done, this frying is done, or this boiling is done. So we are not concerned with trying to build a systems that does the temperature control, or we are not focusing on the temperature control problem. So this is also something that we are assuming. So this is where we started discussing the robotic system pipeline, and this is everything was done spontaneously in all of these meetups, and mutually decided upon. So we decided that okay, boiling potatoes is the first step, and chopping onions and tomatoes should happen simultaneously as potatoes are being boiled, and then the potatoes should be mashed, and the chopped onions and tomatoes should be brought together to the mashing or the chopping area. So the idea is that if all of the processed vegetables are now at one location, and then these are sent to the frying area and then assembly area, where the final assembly is done. Okay, so this is about the overall pipeline. Now going deep into it, we decided that we might need a deep learning system that would take set of different RGB images of basket area. So basket area is basically the storage area for raw vegetables. We assumed that we have a basket which has these potatoes, onions, and tomatoes together in one basket, and we are just going to be feeding images from the camera which is mounted overhead, and we are going to feed it to a deep learning system. We'll train a deep learning system, and such that we'll get not just simply labels of potatoes, onions, and tomatoes, but semantic segmentation, so that grasping can be performed further. So this would be our goal for today. And just to cover how the whole system is, so everything is connected. So once we have this labels, we have this semantic segments, instance segments, then we just perform grasping. So pick and place inside the cooker, and the robot places onions and tomatoes inside the chopping unit. And after that the potatoes are also mashed when after they are boiled, and then everything is moved to the frying area. So this is just an expansion of the steps that we did in the previous slide. And then we assembly, and we also included a feedback system although we didn't discuss it in any detail, we just decided that okay, once we have a prepared sandwich, we also want to have some sort of a feedback from the customers, and that would essentially close the loop, so that the process should actually make the customer happy with the product that it is preparing. And this is where we made we started digging into the assembly process of the sandwich. So this is what we did in the last session. So everything is same, but we just expanded on the storage area. So apart from the vegetables which are stored in a bucket, we didn't include the vegetables because in this slide we didn't include it because this is the focus for today, and we'll be focusing in detail on the bucket area. But we decided that okay, the cheese slices are placed one on top of each other in this area, the bread is placed one on top of each other on this area, lettuce is placed here, spices and sauces are here in the form of these cylindrical containers. And we also decided that the multi gripper changing area is here, and the movable we have so this is kind of a bench wise system. So this blue area is just a fixed jaw, and this green area is a movable jaw, and this yellow portion is our sandwich. So none of this thing will be doing today, but just to cover what we have already done and like bringing everyone on the same page. So this is basically to hold the sandwich in place. So this is our pipeline. So we discussed two particular goals. One would be making an efficient system. One would be just understanding the research problem, which we did very briefly. So here we are assuming that we have two bread slices, that we need two bread slices here, a filling which we have already prepared, cheese, lettuce, sauces and spices. And so the overall pipeline is pretty straightforward. We pick one bread slice and place in assembly area. We pick one cheese slice and place in assembly area on top of bread. And then we pick one lettuce leaf and place on top of assembly. And then we apply sauces and spices, apply filling, place the second bread. So this is the overall system, but we also went really deep into each of the components and prepared a practical pipeline using computer vision approach. So the first step is to actually pick one bread slice, right? So for this we just decided that the robot navigates to the back of the bread area. So we assume that the bread slices are placed one on top of each other in this particular area, and this image is captured from the 3D camera mounted on the robot end effector. And so as the robot arm is moving to the back of this area, then it has this image, it sees this particular image, and as it sees this image we just perform edge detection and segment all of these areas sort of. And so the robot then picks using this really flat sort of a gripper that just goes into these boundaries one by one, and slides into these boundaries and picks the bread slice and goes and places it in the assembly area. So this is what is mentioned in this whole system. So edge detection and placing in the assembly area. And a similar pipeline we decided was to be would be useful for the cheese slices, we assumed. And the next step would be to actually so there's no switching to gripper 1 because we just realized that we can use the same kind of gripper. So the gripper is somewhat looking like this, so that it can slide inside this, and it is wide enough so that the edges that are protruding, they do not obstruct the any of the slices. But at the same time, we realize that once this particular gripper is picking the filling, then there's a good possibility that when it is kind of pouring this, or not pouring, like when it is applying the filling on the bread slices, then it might just stick there. So we kind of have this sort of a lever which is just revolute joint on one end, and it can be easily actuated so that it rotates and pushes all the filling inside the frying pan. So this is where this green portion is being used. So we eventually decided that we'll use the same gripper, and this picks the filling from the frying pan, goes to the sandwich area, tilts the gripper and engages the gripper wiper. So this green portion is what we call the gripper wiper. And after that is the assembly portion. So we realized that we need to change the gripper for the next step. So basically placing a lettuce, picking a lettuce leaf and placing. So for this we decided that a suction gripper makes sense, as we imagined that each of the lettuce leaves are also placed layer by layer. So we assume that all the leaves are together in this container, but one on top of each other. So this is a very thin container with just one leaf visible at the top, and this suction gripper picks the leaf and places it on the assembly. And we also realized that for applying the sauces and spices, which would be small, like small cylindrical containers, we just need a 2-jaw gripper that picks it and just navigates over the area and applies it, and then we switch back to the first gripper to place the top bread. So this is the overall system. And finally we also discussed that if we use just a human 5-finger gripper instead of this multi-gripper system, what would happen. And we just kind of theorized what are the different approaches that could be used. So for example, we discussed that the imitation learning based approach, which is probably the kind of approach that Molly Robots is using, would be a really good solution. So that is just taking just data from gloves which a human chef is wearing while performing the cooking operation, and just using the data, the collected data, and transferring it to the actual robot. And we also discussed few other approaches which I'll not go into detail of now. So today's main focus is to discuss this segmentation pipeline. So taking RGB images into account, how do we get labels of instances of potatoes, onions and tomatoes. So this is our overall problem. I'll just first define this, and then we can have a bit of discussion and then come up with something. So our goal today is to develop a deep learning system that provides instance labels for onions, tomatoes and potatoes given in the image. So this is kind of how our image would look like, captured from the top camera, the overhead camera. And what we want to prepare is, of course, these instance labels are not really accurate. I just copied same label arrangement for all of the objects, but the idea is that it prepares some sort of labels, preparing instance segments. So instances of each of the different type of object that we have, and also give labels for that. So this is the overall idea, and we decided that mask RCNN would be a good approach to use today, and this is what we will be discussing today. So before I go on to discussing this, let's first talk about if the problem is first of all clear to all of you.
Yeah, it's clear generally for me.
Okay, and also I want to ask like how many of you are familiar with deep learning, mask RCNN? Hello.
Not me.
Okay. And Krish also, I'm assuming not. And Jeel and Sudarshan, are you familiar with deep learning, some basics and stuff, or are you totally
No,
new?
no, no.
Okay,
Yes,
okay,
I have a bit of an introduction to deep learning.
okay, okay. All right. So that means that we'll not go too deep into in today's session. We'll kind of just establish like how the overall system is working, and we can probably go deeper in the subsequent sessions. So basically I'll first start with the very basics of what machine learning and deep learning is and how we can use it in this kind of arrangement, just focusing on this particular problem at hand. So basically, like, we have traditional programming versus machine. Also feel free to stop me in between if something doesn't make sense, because like we are going very we are discussing like the basics now. So the goal for today is that everyone understands how this particular pipeline might work. We won't go into too much depth because it can uh, understanding mask RCNN and everything would take like multiple sessions and stuff. So okay, so traditional so in traditional programming we have uh, so in all of the problems basically we have input and output. In traditional programming we input the data. So data, let's say, so here in this particular slide we are just taking this simple problem such that the data is x is equal to 1 2 3, these three numbers. Rules are y is equal to x minus 1. This is the equation, and the answers are y 0 1 2. So we know like from simple mathematics that if we put x 1 2 3 into this equation we get y, right? So the traditional programming approach is that we input this data, we input the x values, and we get outputs of y. So we want y, and we assume that we know the rules. This is traditional programming, rules or the function or the equation. And in machine learning the problem is a bit different in the sense that we do not know the rules. We just have this data, right? We for example just have this 1 2 and 3, and we know that the y's corresponding to these are 0 1 2. And what the machine learning algorithm does, it just finds out these this pattern, equation or rules, and this is how this problem is different. I'll also go into how this is significant in today's approach basically. And the idea is that once we figure out this pattern, now if we feed a new number, let's say 4, then now it knows the equation, and then it gives y as 3, 4 minus 1 3. So this is like very basics for those of you who are very new to this. And yeah, so there's also a difference between deep learning and machine learning, but I think this slide is not the right one. That is probably at the end. So yeah, so here you can see this is in machine learning we have this particular model, and it knows the it has to get to know the rules first. So we feed this data and answers to it, we train it. Basically training is something training is a process that actually enables the model to learn these rules. And then a prediction is, as I mentioned, if we feed x is equal to 4, what is y? So this is how the prediction would work, because it knows the rules after training. And there's another concept called train test split. So basically what we do is so now you can see here I've taken like 10 numbers as data, but it's the same problem that I'm targeting. So the data is this x is 10 numbers, y is from 0 to 9. These are the labels, and then we split it into train and test. And then so these particular numbers from 1 to 7 and the labels from 0 to 6 are used for training. So we feed it into the model, and then it trains the model based on this data, and it gets to know the rules basically. And we split it into test sets, so to know that it learns the right thing. So once we have already trained, it learns a pattern. Maybe it learns some other equation or something close to this equation. So then we feed it into the test set, and then we just see how much does it diverge from the true value. So these would be the true labels. Maybe once it feeds it to this to another equation, or an equation that it learns, maybe it gives 7.5, maybe it gives 8.2 or 8.9 here. Then we just kind of find out the loss to understand the accuracy of the model. So we split it into train and test just to understand how accurate this particular pattern that it learned is, right? So this is like very fundamental of what machine learning is. And then there's a difference between deep learning and machine learning. So in machine learning, so I told about this pattern, and there are like multiple sort of features that it learns. So if we input something, then in machine learning these features are something that the human manually extracts from the input, and then this is fed into the machine learning model, and then the output is given. But in deep learning, and the reason why we are using deep learning is because for complicated problems it learns these features and does classification on its own. So everything is done on its own. Now why is all of this like basic theory relevant? Of course, like I'm not digging deep into the mathematics of machine learning or anything, but just taking the bare minimum theory that would be essential for today. So the reason why this is important is because so let's go to our problem. So basically we are feeding sets of these images, right? We would have different arrangements of these all of these images, and then we would feed it to a deep learning system. We would feed multiple images, and we would have to give manual labels of each of these. So labels of these sorts, so several images of these with the label masks would be fed to a deep learning model, which is till now we are just considering it as a black box. We would just feed it, and then eventually it would learn a pattern. Now what would the pattern be? So the pattern would just be a mapping between this particular image and the labels. So you can see, like for an equation as simple as y, so for these simple data, the pattern is really simple, and this is just like the very fundamental. So for this particular arrangement, you can imagine that the patterns would be really complex. So to put it in layman terms, it just learns these patterns. So when we feed a new image captured from the camera, then it gives us the labels which we are hoping would be correct, right? So this is the overall idea that we are targeting today. So let's first discuss if it is clear or not, or if you need some explanation, because this is what we are doing today. We'll just try to understand this particular thing. So feel free to interrupt me now. So is it clear or?
So deep learning does more work than machine learning because it is extracting the features as well itself.
Yeah, so the idea is that so in machine learning, the human has to extract the features, but the feature extraction is also done by the deep learning system. So that is why, like, we are more or less switching, using lots of deep learning systems in industries these days, because for these problems, like, extracting features would be like really difficult for humans, right? Because here, if you think about it, like, the features would be a function of the pixels of the images, and like maybe it's uh, at the outer layers of the network. Maybe the features are very complicated, maybe it's kind of found a pattern of these scales, like these scales represent onions, or some kind of pixel arrangement. So this would be really difficult for like humans to find out mechanically. Yeah, so is it clear?
Yes, I was thinking a different approach. Like, if there is a vegetable, say tomato, why don't we input all the photos of it from all the angles and then make the machine identify if it is a tomato or is it an apple because they are of the same color. So maybe if we input all the files from all the angles, maybe it could differentiate between a tomato and apple because the contours are different. So in that
So,
sense.
so you mean what you're trying to say is taking multiple images of one particular object, so
From
potato
different
from different
angles, like
angles.
from top, from bottom, from side. So like a 3D model of it.
No, but the thing is that what do we have in our problem? In our problem, we have this basket filled with random locations of potatoes, onions, and tomatoes. So even if it learns, if even if it knows the model very well, I mean, it what is eventually fed to it is this. So it needs to identify uh, masks of potatoes in this, and how is it going to learn from this image, because this is what the input is. If for example we are just feeding images of separate tomatoes, potatoes, and onions, and it just has to classify, okay, this is a potato, this is a tomato and onion, then the problem is different, right? So okay, let's also talk about that problem, since this is uh, okay. So all right, so the thing is, like, if we are, let me just copy this slide, and because I think this will make the understanding really clear. So if you just wanted that, okay, you are feeding the model just want to know whether this is a potato, whether this is a tomato, and whether this is an onion, right? If the problem was just this, and we just needed labels of it, then we would we would give sorry, yeah, we would just label each of these things. So this is potato, we would just feed these three things, right? We would feed these images from different angles and different areas, and then eventually it gives us for a new image that, okay, this is this is a potato, this is an onion, and this is a tomato. So this would be a really simple classification problem. And this approach is not relevant to our case because the problem is different. We are not trying to find individual labels of, we are just not trying to we don't simply have this particular, like, one image containing one object, right? So the patterns that it learns, in this particular case, for example, it would be like, what is the pattern of a potato in one image, what is the pattern of one tomato in one image, what is the pattern of one onion in one image. But here the thing is, it's more complicated. Here we have everything together. So it doesn't matter if it individually knows that, okay, this is a potato, but in this particular image, if we are taking it, so let's say if we train this model, right? So now what this model knows is that, given an image of one potato, whether it's a potato, onion, or tomato, right? This is the pattern that it learns, but in this image, it's not going to give us accurate results. It does not make sense at all. Like, there is multiple objects, so we have to feed it with the input that we want to predict it on. I don't know if I've explained it correctly, but is it clear? What do you think?
Yeah, I guess pretty much.
What doubt do you have right now?
No, I'm just telling what could an approach look like.
Yeah.
Just me sharing my.
No, it's good that you're thinking, but you also, like, do you realize why that approach is not correct in this particular case?
Yeah, maybe because uh, wait.
So actually, for this, maybe also, like, the check out a few resources of how neural networks work and other things.
Okay.
So it would make, so basically, like, think of it, even if you think of it as just a black box, like just a magical box, that if you feed these images and labels to it, it just gives labels for new images. So it kind of if you think of it that way, then it depends totally on the input that you give, right? What you feed, only that thing it learns. It doesn't learn anything about this image because we do not feed anything into it.
And there was another concern. Suppose we take that same basket of vegetables
Mm-hmm.
and let's say we want those vegetables to be in our sandwich, but a certain case could happen that a few of the tomatoes or a few of the potatoes are not, in good condition. So how would the deep learning model differentiate from a good and a bad tomato? So that's also a case to look. So that's like a corner case in this
So
problem.
in this basket, maybe some of the tomatoes are not fresh, you mean?
Yeah, some of them are not fresh, or some of them are, like they are like dried up,
Yeah.
maybe.
So, like, so if we are just feeding these images and we are also labeling the potatoes which are not good, or which are not very fresh, as potatoes, then it would definitely predict those as also potatoes. But for that, maybe you can also have, like, identifying potatoes as good and bad potatoes. That would, like, make the whole system more complicated. So the whole idea is that
Yeah, exactly.
whatever
Because
whatever you give input to, it will. And also, like, we are assuming in this particular case that all the that everything is, like, clean and peeled up. So I'm assuming that we have already done this step of sorting the potatoes, sorting the good potatoes and the good onions, the good tomatoes from the bad ones. So this is like in one of our assumptions that we have the right ones with us right now. Yeah, and another thing could be that, I mean, that could be a different direction of sorting good potatoes from bad potatoes, and for that, uh, I mean, whatever you feed it in, maybe you take just one particular potato and label it as good potato, bad potato, and you just have, for example, potatoes in your basket. So that could be another thing, and anomaly detection approaches can be done. But yeah, let's not go into details of that. Okay. So yeah, Aditya and Sudarshan, do you want to say something?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Okay, all right. So basically this is how our whole pipeline would look like, and there are like multiple things that we can actually do. So there are these uh, basic concepts that we can discuss about it, like what is instant segmentation, semantic segmentation, convolutional neural networks, RNNs, fast RNNs, faster RNNs, mask RCNNs, sorry, I also said wrong here. Then ROI pooling, ROI aligned region proposal network. So the fundamental problem, if I have to go just at the top level, is just this particular just this simple. What There are two things that we can do right now. So one thing is we make a pipeline. Okay, we have this segmentation masks, but ultimately we want to have grasping regions, right? We want to have grasp poses. So we can discuss this particular pipeline and expand it a bit to have grasp poses, or we can go into understanding the theory of mask RCNN and trying to understand it deeply. So what do you think would be more interesting today? Hello. So
Yeah, I think like since we don't have that much idea, maybe taking a little bit more basic approach would be better, Chandan.
yeah, so for that, so I do not really have slides, so I noted down the concepts that we can discuss, and maybe we can do the same approach of taking 10 or 15 minutes and making slides, or downloading slides and discussing it together. This could be one way, or we can do this deep theoretical discussion next time, and try to understand, try to just add up a grasping layer to this somehow, just because this is like a deep dive, and for that, like, we would have to do it together somehow. Okay. um okay, so just tell me, till now this thing is clear, or do you need some clarification on what we have done so far?
Yeah, it's kind of clear. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, and yeah, I mean, uh, the thing is that this is going to take a lot of time. This is like, for this we have to go into first neural networks and all these basic things, and it's not really possible, especially since we are already done with half the time today. So let's do one thing. let's just be fully clear of how this overall system is, and then we can go into the details further. Okay, all right. So we know that for our pipeline, essentially what we want is we want these masks and labels of potatoes, onions, and tomatoes, and then it picks and places it inside the cooker. So yes, so basically now we have trained the model so it learns the pattern, and just imagine that this is a new image that it captures from the overhead camera, right? And for this particular image the model gives this prediction. So the model gives that okay, this is a potato, this is an onion, and this is a tomato. So it gives this prediction, and we are assuming that we have trained it such that it's accurate enough. And now what our task is to actually do the grasping. So what do you think? Like, we have these images, we have these mask labels, and the robot with a two jaw gripper has to pick it. So what approaches could there be? Just now we can brainstorm the grasping approaches.
Do we know the coordinates of the vegetables with respect to the rectangular box?
The rectangular box, you mean?
I mean, if we
The
take the left corner, bottom corner as the origin, so do we know the coordinates of every vegetable that we see in the first layer itself? So, like the
so
green one,
so
yeah.
basically all we have is this particular image with these masks, and
Okay.
labels, right? So we know where these masks are with respect to the image. We know the pixel position of each of the masks. So like,
So
yeah.
yeah, so what we can do is maybe first make the image also detect the box as well, and then we apply the 2D coordinate system over here, and we kind of mark it in some way with respect to the robot as well. So the robot's position and the box positions in real life is equated to the 2D image in the picture or in the camera frame. So
Yeah.
maybe we could make some pipeline out of that.
Yes, that is, yeah, that is exactly right. So what do you suggest the next block should be? So basically we need now an arrangement that given these images, now we want to have grasp points, and what would the ideal grasp points be? Basically this is
I guess the 2 points where there is the minimum distance between the 2 points on the edges.
uh, what do you mean?
I mean, like, let's take a irregular circle. So, 2 points on that along the radius of that circle. So they might not be equal. So, I mean, if we take some kind of a center of this polygon, and then we try to connect all the possible points. We take the shortest point, we take the shortest line, so the that shortest line connects two more points on the edges, so those two edges could be used to pick up the vegetable.
Okay. So basically, you are, for example, talking about this irregular box first, and then taking the center of it.
Yeah.
So right? Center of it, and then you said like taking the minimum distance of it or something.
So yeah, so minimum distance that goes through this point as well. So minimum distance in a sense that it connects the one edge to the other edge. So one left edge to the right edge.
So
Basically, the shortest line going through the center is us, I think.
Yeah, maybe that could be also
so
said.
shortest line, let's say, would be, I don't know, this or something.
Maybe
Maybe not, like something like this. Let's yeah, okay, anyway. So the shortest line you think would be a good grasp point, although this is like uh, this is probably oversimplifying it in a sense, because like there are these two jaw grippers now that we have. So like the two jaw grippers which are parallel in a way. So basically what we want is, so this thing, this two jaw gripper would be perpendicular to this particular shortest distance as well, right? And this is, let's
yeah.
say here, probably not a good grasp again. And like, and another thing could be that we sort of also take, we take the we definitely draw a line, but we also draw a line uh, that sorts of gives gives an orientation of the gripper which is also feasible in picking, for example. So this is again something like a separate deep learning network can be actually used for this, and like some details of which like Atmaraj discussed in his grasping pipeline like several sessions ago. So that is one approach, but like a very simplistic approach is just, yeah, finding out the right line which would be perpendicular to our gripper arms basically. So like shortest distance is probably not the best one, right? We, and also let's probably not,
Chandandeep, we'll have that. We'll have way too many lines that will be like perpendicular to the gripper.
yeah. So like
Rather, I have one more idea. Rather than doing that, like the idea that I have is a little bit tricky, but so what we can do is we can take all the edge points of the object that we're trying to grasp and draw tangents on that.
okay, so like tangents on all of these
Yes, like almost all the points,
hmm.
and we find a pair of points that form a line because the tangents will be parallel to each other, right?
Yeah.
There are, so we'll have two perfect grasping points then.
Okay, so let me repeat what you're saying.
But
So
what if that edge is like a pointed edge? So like you get a triangle sort of a object, and then you can pick that same triangle from one side,
Not slip
but
off.
the other side is like pointed or edged in a way, so you can't pick that other side that good. So the tangents thing might, not. Yeah, like in this example itself, it's good from one side, but the other side does not have that much big edge on that same point where the tangents are parallel on the other side.
yeah, so okay, So what Aditya's approach is that we take tangents on all of these areas, and we try to find two tangents at like two opposite areas that are sort of parallel, right? Or is it something
Yeah,
different?
that's it. Like
Hmm.
basically, then we need 2 points that form a line, and that are almost perpendicular to the tangents over there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We need to pass closest to the center so that when the gripper tries to grip the object, it doesn't fall off from the gripper. Like center of mass should be closer towards the gripping action.
Hmm, hmm, hmm. Yeah, okay. Hmm.
Uh, like I have a question here.
Yes.
So like we are generating these masks with a pipeline, correct?
Yes.
So like these masks are not accurate, or is it like exactly accurate as the shape of the vegetable?
So again, so actually, we are like after. So at this step, what we are doing is we already have these labels, and we are saying that okay, they are accurate enough. Of course, they will not be like totally accurate, but there would be an accuracy percentage, let's say greater than 95% or so.
Okay.
And we are assuming that uh, it's that accurate, but still we are also assuming that it's not too accurate to fully rely on it. So
So
we have to think in that way, and like this also goes down to the details of mask RCNN, like how we can, for example, tune the different parameters till we get uh, an accurate enough result, but that's more like experimentation.
okay, okay. Because like if you get an almost 95 to 98% accurate mapping,
Yeah.
then most of the irregularities we are seeing in the down mask will be removed. You'll
Hmm.
get almost similar shape. So instead of working on this, like how we can eliminate or how we can select on the grasping point, we could see on how we can get not a exactly accurate mask, like 95, 98% would be good, so that like most of the problem will be simplified on the second stage itself.
Yeah, yeah. So,
One more question.
but
Are we?
also, sorry.
Uh,
Yeah.
Uh,
yeah,
so
yeah. I was ask,
just let me complete this. So basically, we are assuming that it is accurate till till the level of acceptability. So let's just say 95%, which would already be like way more than we actually get in real
Yeah.
life. I think in real life 90% would already be very good. So because this is like already not so easy to get good results on. So let's just say we have 95% accuracy, and we kind of can rely to some level but not fully.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, Krish.
yeah, I was asking, are we limited to the two hand gripper, or we can use any other gripper as well?
So yeah, we can use any other gripper. Do you
Okay,
have
so
some suggestions?
yeah, I have found one. I will give the link. 1 second.
Yeah. So basically, like for this particular complicated case, I think there's this GPD grasp pose detector network, or how it is called, grasp pose detector. Yes. So this is kind of another network, and it just gives us different kinds of different grasps, and this is kind of another network that we feed it on, and then we filter the grasps based on the grasp values, good grasp values, uh, basically. So again, like, so the thing is that this like having a deep learning based grasping system would be a really another topic to go into. So let's just try to find out uh, a simple arrangement today, and meanwhile we can then decide what our theme for next session could be, which area we want to go deeper into. Yeah, Krish, did you share? Okay. Soft gripper. So are you able to see my screen now, right?
Yeah.
So
we can.
this MIT creates soft gripper that can lift 100 times its weight. So like if we use this sort of a gripper, we just need the we still need the coordinates of the center point. Actually, this is also this is actually pretty good in the sense that in this particular case, we for two jaw gripper we need to have the orientation specific as well. Uh,
But that robot can pick from any orientation.
yeah. So this is an advantage of this for of this gripper. So this is something. This is actually a good suggestion. Will it be good enough for the vegetables though?
The photo showed it
Hmm.
was picking an apple, so I
Yeah,
guess
yeah.
if the gripper was made a bit bigger for like longer vegetables like brinjal or something, then it might work there. Yeah, it's picking the apple as well.
Yeah, it's actually good. And in using this gripper, it doesn't have to be like totally accurate because it's flexible.
Yeah, so if the vegetable is like not having that much of contact area, it can start picking up from the top and then
Yeah.
gradually make its way down. So it might just flow down into the into the basket. So if that same particular vegetable is like shadowed around by a few other vegetables, then it can maybe go deep down and then flow itself around it and then pick it up.
Yeah, this is interesting. So, like, I think for two jaw gripper, I think it would be a really a deep. Like, we have to discuss some research papers and go really deep into that. So it also makes sense that we use either a suction gripper or this gripper. Suction gripper is kind of also similar, but that is this gripper that you showed seems more uh, useful because it has more flexibility, so to say.
Yeah, more kind of you can, if there are it can pick up from numerous orientations. So
Yes.
it's like making our job much easier in that sense.
Yeah.
We just
Okay.
need to find the coordinates and then our job is done.
Okay. So this simplifies our problem for today. So basically now the problem is just that we want to let's say find the center point of this of all of these masks, and once we just find the center points of these and then map those to the robot end effector coordinates, so the robot goes there on top of this, goes down and then just activates this gripper and then picks these objects one by one. Yeah. So this find grasp points for, I don't know what this gripper is called, basically soft robotic gripper, I don't know what, origami robot
Origami
gripper.
robot
Yeah,
gripper. Yeah.
find
You can
grasp
shorten it
points.
as ORG if you want.
Okay, yes, find grasp points for this and then feed it to the robotic arm. Of course, this is also like super simplified. Find robotic, sorry, send to origami, send to robot coordinates and activate origami robotic gripper. All right, so this is how it looks like for us. So this, by this, what we have done now is we have done this particular step, given RGB images, we get these, and then we have also decided a gripper that, for example, picks and places each of these objects. So this was actually a really good gripper suggestion. Yeah, so this is what we have. So let's first address any doubts that we have, and then we can discuss which area you want to understand deeply. I know that we want to go deep into mask RCNN, but we have to have sort of a systematic arrangement so we can like uh, discuss it so it makes sense. Otherwise, it's like because it is dependent on a lot of other basic concepts, right? So you first of all need to know neural networks, deep learning and all really good. Then convolutional neural networks, then it builds upon RCNNs, then faster RCNNs, faster mask RCNN, and then there are these concepts, and I've not noted all of these things yet. So first let's talk about this pipeline. Do you have some suggestions, some doubts, or anything regarding this? Okay, so I guess not. We just had a very simplistic arrangement where we just took the center points, and for this particular grasp, this should work fine, hopefully.
So yeah, Chandradeep, I'm sorry, I was a bit late to answer. For that refining, I was talking about, right?
Yeah.
Using the deep learning model, there is some probabilistic approach called conditional random fields.
Mm-hmm.
You can just Google it.
Yeah.
Based on that, that helps in actually refining the get as accurate as possible. You can look for search for CRF based image segmentation or something. That will give you. There is some papers that was released recently,
Yeah.
so that will help in the accuracy that want refining accuracy. If we are going with any other gripper, let's say we are limited with the gripper part, this would help in getting the accurate results that we want.
Okay, so how is this going to be used at which step? So after we have all these labels and then we want to find
This will
grasp
be
point?
in the first model itself. We will use it as a RNN. It will be added as an RNN to the CNN.
Ah,
It will
okay.
be like double encoded model there.
Ah, okay. So we would have like two parallel networks, sort of.
I think so. I haven't gone in depth into that.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing would be like, let me get that link.
Conditional random fields. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So while Sudarshan is searching, so Aditya, Krish, do you have some comments on this? and then we can talk about like what
Like,
to
I
do
think
for
the
next time.
gripper idea is good.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
origami gripper is good.
yeah. Origami gripper is good. Yeah, I think so too. And I think like this would be pretty interesting from a mechanical point of view. Uh, because it's like, I think as the name suggests, it kind of has this origami paper kind of principle, right? It has like these sort of I don't know, the wrinkles are patterned such that once suction is applied, then it grips it really good. Like it forms those grooves inside that hold it together.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty good. Okay. Yes. Yeah. So Sudarshan, are you sharing something?
Yeah, just a minute, just a minute.
Okay. Yeah. Meanwhile, let's talk about. Let's get some feedback and also like what we want to do for next month. Do we want to continue with this kitchen robots arrangement, or do we want to pick a new theme? What do you think?
I think we need more people to get a decision on that.
Yeah, I think yes.
Yeah, I mean, many people didn't join today.
Today somehow I was expecting more people would be joining, but I mean Akshay was supposed to be joining today, right? Anyway, okay, but yeah, still, like, what do you guys think?
I'm fine with either of the way. Like, we can probably continue, or else we can take up different things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hmm. And Krish?
Yeah, maybe we can take a different topic for
Yeah,
the
yeah.
next or for the
I
coming
mean,
month. Yeah.
actually, also, if we just stick with kitchen robotics for 6 months, that would probably be
Too
too
it would
much.
probably to be too boring. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
the kitchen is a very small space. Maybe we
Hmm.
could do another month of this where we include kitchen plus home robotics. Maybe something like that.
Yeah. I think maybe we can have like three, we can at least mutually decide 3 or 4 themes for next month, and then I'll just add it there and we can get voting and then just decide it and we can continue with this. What I also realized that for today we wanted to discuss mask RCNN deeply. Uh, but yeah, I don't know, it's not really possible in one particular session. I could just give an overall idea of this stuff, but we can like we can think of how we will be doing our meetup. So we will definitely have one really deep discussion. Like for example, we did mask RCNN, but we will try to make the last session extended somehow so that we can discuss some, yeah, code base or something as well in the last one. So the first one would be again um, just understanding what's going on around a particular theme, and then the next one would be deciding the pipeline of one particular area of it, and then digging deeper into one particular aspect of the pipeline, and then like covering one really small segment deeply. So I think this does make sense, and like in May we would have 5 Sundays, so we can have probably 2 sessions where we can go deep. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, Chanadip, I have shared in the chat room.
Okay.
Yeah, that's an image actually. Like, if you could just go to the right side of it.
That's a big ass image.
Yeah, correct. That. Go to the right hand. Yeah. So this is how they use a model. First, they train on fully convolutional neural network and then CRF-based RNN. On the right, you
Okay.
get the output as well.
Ah. And what is the advantage of using this? Sorry, I'm not familiar with conditional random fields.
So what conditional random fields are like? These are like applying transformations on global images. These are like global operators. So like let's say we get an accuracy of 80 to 90% through the normal methods. By
Hmm.
refining the output, sorry?
Um, I think, Krish, can you turn off your mic?
Hmm.
Yeah.
So what the CRF does is that it actually helps in refining the output. So the outliers that are detected as a part of the neural network will get rejected, and it gives us actually the accurate shape, the close enough shape that we want. So these are like
Okay.
adding to some adding to the existing networks that we have.
Okay. Yeah. So you are suggesting that, like, instead of mask RCNN, or like in addition to mask RCNN, somehow an additional step, or somehow that could be included in the deep learning
Yeah,
pipeline.
yeah,
Okay.
correct.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. This is nice. Okay, yeah, and what do you think are so first of all, like, Sudarshan, have you joined before? I think it's the first time you're joining, right?
Yeah, yeah. Today is the first time I joined.
Okay, so let's get your feedback first and maybe also a small introduction.
Yeah, that's great. Actually, I couldn't join on time. I just joined a bit late after the meeting started. So my name is Sudarshan. I come from Tamil Nadu. Graduated with in BE Electrical and Electronics Engineering last year, and this fall I'll be starting my masters in University of Southern California in
Okay,
Electrical and Computer Engineering. So
nice.
I'm interested in autonomous driving, reinforcement learning, and computer vision. These are the three fields like I would like want to work in, and those are the field like I'm pretty good interested, and I do some projects in that as well.
Hmm.
And yeah, that's all about me. Like nothing more big. I just joined this group based on YouTube. I think
Okay.
there was a link, then I joined the Discord, and that's how I got here.
Ah, okay, interesting. That's nice. So welcome to the community. And do you have some feedback or suggestions?
Since this is my first day, like I do not have a much feedback because the session was like pretty interesting with the discussions. But yeah, like we could discuss on few more topics as well. Like as others said, like we could in the coming weeks we could have different discussions apart from the group, apart from this food picking topics.
So you mean topic wise, or?
Not topic wise, let's say like project wise, and that will be split into topics in between, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it
yeah.
depends upon people, like what they want to. Bigger feedback from the group would be beneficial there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So basically, like, to let you know that we have now mutually decided to have one theme for each month. So the theme for this month was kitchen robots, and that's why we have been focusing on this particular area as well.
Okay.
And for next month, we would be like choosing a theme that we will be taking up different sessions on. So for May, we can brainstorm, and then I'll add it on Discord and get some voting on at least three or four themes, and we can mutually decide what is interesting to us. So meetup themes for May, basically. And it doesn't like have to be, it can be like, if we want to go into these topics, we can have separate theory sessions as well. So the good thing is that in May we can allocate like 5 sessions to one particular theme. So let's choose wisely, because we will be stuck with it for 5 more sessions.
Yeah, cool, cool.
Okay, so basically, like, I mean, just it's just probably different aspects of robotics. So we touched kitchen robots, and now I don't know. Like, give your suggestions. There could be agriculture robots, like house cleaning robots, or military robots, Boston Dynamics stuff, or anything, like whatever comes to your mind. Just let's just write randomly the keywords that come to our minds, and then we'll pick up patterns and find four themes, and just, yeah, kind of arrive at a conclusion. Yeah, just,
Uh, Rescue robots like UAVs, something like. Yeah.
yeah. hmm Kitchen robots we've already done. Agricultural robots, although I don't know, this is actually would be also interesting, but not sure if like everyone would be interested. So also we can,
Generally,
yeah.
what about robot vacuum cleaners? Like, if we have a more specific topic, we
Okay.
can like look into like what I'm imagining for robot vacuum cleaners. We what we could do is we could like look out what the market is, what kind of
Hmm.
technologies are there, and maybe look into what specific techniques are used in that, and then by the end of it, maybe we could come up with some interesting improvement that could be implemented into that.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
I feel that that could be an interesting discussion, and having a more center, like a more focused topic would be like maybe we could try that out too. I
Okay.
feel
Okay. So like, so kitchen robots was more broad, and in the sense like robot vacuum cleaners is a bit more specific. Okay. Yeah.
yeah, I think kitchen robots we started a little bit broad, but I think
Hmm.
by the end of the month we got bit more focused on that. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
like I was thinking, maybe we can try out being focused from the beginning itself. Like take one kind of robot, like very specific
Hmm.
robot, and then like look into what's there on the market, what kind of technologies are being used, and then maybe we can imagine what could be a problem and come up with like some kind of interesting improvement on that.
Hmm. 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 Yeah. Yeah, sure. So, yeah, I'm just writing down all the keywords now. We can take up a specific one, and
We
like,
also work on underwater vehicles, underwater robots. That's underground. Sorry, water or underground robots.
A robot related to sports. I mean, since there are a lot of sports, any we can pick any one type and then classify them as this, and then maybe talk about them. Because
like,
since we have 5 sessions, we can at least discuss 3 different sports.
no, but
And
like we would like, even if we have like robotics in sports, then like, so to be honest, like initially we would have maybe one session where we have an overall discussion of what's going on around, and then we will eventually be narrowing it down to one area, and then like narrow till at the end we would just be focused on one thing. So we
Mhm.
won't be able to like um have like really deep discussions on different areas, except on the first session, which we can.
okay.
Yeah. So what do you mean, like what is in your mind right now about sport robotics in sports? So
I mean, there are robots that help you play table tennis better in sense that
yeah.
it will train you. There are robots that play help you play badminton a lot better. So there is a surface kind of a robot that also serves the shuttles, and also it has 3 rackets in a three oriented axis kind of thing, so it can, you know, like hit the shuttle in a way that if in any orientation it is falling down, it can shoot, I mean, reshoot it back.
Okay.
So
Okay.
maybe
So
that, like that. So maybe for like other sports like football or baseball or cricket,
yeah.
we
Okay.
can.
Like also, I mean, one thing is that like these are if we take one particular area, like for example robot vacuum cleaners, robots and sports, at least some of us need to be knowledgeable about it, because for example I have not worked with robot vacuum cleaners or anything. So either we would need to like do some pre-study or like really understand things deeply, or we need more people in that particular area of the theme that we decide for a particular month. So let's decide on a set of themes, and after that I would also encourage, if you know some people in who are like who have worked on that particular area, then if you can invite them to have like really good discussions, because otherwise otherwise the quality would not remain the same. Okay, so yeah, continuing with this robots in sports and um, I don't know, assembly robots in plants or industries, assembly robots, and then one could be like service robots, and by service robots I just mean like those that are offering sort of information or like resources or something. Robots in
Like Pepper,
sorry.
Chandeep. Are you talking about Pepper, the robot from
Yeah,
yeah
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah. So, sort of this one, yeah.
telepresence kind of thing you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, but again, this is one area, and then there could be like continuing with the kitchen robots. We could have robots in restaurants that serve as waiters. That could be like part of service robots, like just taking the order and going to the table or something like that. Like there are like obviously infinite possibilities here. Let's see what is interesting to us in all of these. First of all, do you want to add some more keywords, because we'll be just picking from the keywords that have been popped up out so far?
No, I think we have enough topics now.
Yeah, okay, and eventually we have to pick one. So
Yeah, like we can keep saving them up for the next set of months.
so this robot vacuum cleaners could be one thing. Rescue robots could be, so I'm taking like different diverse ones. Service robots, let's yeah, I don't know. Robots in sports, I don't know if we have like enough knowledge about this area, right? I don't know, have you guys some experience in this? Because I don't.
No, not me.
We also want to take the areas where we are able to go have good discussion. That is also the thing. Assembly robots in industries could make something. Underwater robots, so Sudarshan suggested, maybe Sudarshan has some experience. So do you know something about underwater robots?
In basic, I know, but not in depth. Like how they
Okay.
work, like what are the competitions, what hardware they use, like that.
Mm-hmm. One could just be
Aditya, what about we suggest wine robots or like soft robots in general?
soft robots, yeah. Soft robots could also be. So what I can do is, let's not take so many. Let's just keep some of these. Like let's take three. Let's take three, and then I'll add it in the announcement somehow, and we can discuss. We can get a vote on and decide which one we want to take. So vacuum robot sounds interesting. Then okay,
Maybe
underwater.
robot vacuum cleaners could come under house robotics or house cleaning robotics
Yeah,
because
so
that is like one application area. That's why it
Like if we
sounds
take,
complicated.
I think like Aditya, like if we take like vacuum cleaners, then we won't be able to like follow this particular system. So this could just be, for example, cleaning robots, and then we maybe decide that okay, we want to target vacuum cleaning robots there in the next meetup, and then we go deeper into that. But initially, to have a broad discussion, I think like cleaning robots would be a better term, right?
Okay, yeah, fine.
To also allow some broad discussion to take place
Yeah,
initially.
that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Cleaning robots, underwater robots, and legged or soft robots. Let's choose one of these.
Soft, soft.
Soft.
Like it is bit complicated. Like you need to
Yeah.
go into under actuated robotics for that. So that's too
Hmm.
much.
That like mechanical, like dynamics and stuff would be really important in that case.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay. So like these are the themes that we have come across now. So cleaning, underwater, and soft robots. Okay. So I'll add it. Please make sure to vote on this particular thing as well. And also try to find people who are into these areas, and also like try to uh, read some research papers. I think what would also be good is that, like, for example, for kitchen robots, we had like really good spontaneous discussions. What could be done is that we also had a research paper discussion related to kitchen robots. Again, like time is an issue here. So, let's see. Okay, so these are the themes. I'll add a vote. Do you have any more suggestions or anything to say now?
No, like I think these three are good topics. Like
Mm-hmm.
these are different from what we've done up till the past month. So I think more people hopefully will join in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, let's see.
I remember one person who put up on the accountability section about like he was working on an underwater robot project also.
Ah, yeah, I think I also saw.
Like I think I spoke to him sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think I spoke to him twice about his project. So I remember, yeah, Charles, yeah.
Okay.
So I think he's working on this project, but presently he's having some exam or something. So I think
Mm-hmm.
next week he should probably be joining in. Hopefully, if he's free, he can join in.
Okay, okay. Okay, all right. Sounds good. I'll also approach him separately to ask him if he's joining. Yeah. So that's it. And yeah, how's everything? So I've stopped the recording now.